the dot. Remember, this is the cover of the story. And this is called the title page. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, now sign it. Vashti thought for a moment. Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I can make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted. A yellow dot, a green dot, a red dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the red, she discovered that she could make a purple dot. Vashti kept experimenting. Lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. You see what she did? She took the color and made it into a circle and did all the rest of the paper, and then that white was the circle. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Look at all those. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. You're a really great artist, he said. I wish I could draw, he said. I bet you can, said Vashti. Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. You ever feel like that? Me too. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. Show me. The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, can you guess what she said? Please, sign it. Now, I want to show you this back because I think it's pretty cool. This was dedicated to Mr. Matson, who was her 7th grade math teacher, his 7th grade math teacher, who dared him to make my mark. How cool, huh? So today, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be making our own marks. We are going to be using watercolors and paper. So today for class, here's what you will need. You will need your white paper that was in your folder. You will need your set of watercolors that you were asked to have for your school supply list. You will want to have paper towel or a napkin so that you can wipe off your brush and get all the other color off of it. And then, of course, what do you need for watercolor paints? You need to have water. So you'll need your bucket of water. See, I have my bucket of water here too. I'm just gonna set my bucket up here. And so today what you're gonna do is you're going to be making your own dots. Now, I know some of you are gonna say, I can't draw. This isn't for me, I can't do this. But guess what? I know that you can. So make sure that we always start by wetting our brush down. I like to take my brush that I wet down and I like to go ahead and also dab it. Make sure that all the color from last time was out, because it'd be a really big bummer if you were making a yellow dot and you still had like green or something left in your brush, because then all of a sudden your dot wouldn't be so yellow and that'd be really sad. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way your paper is, but I like to have mine going, this is called landscape. So I'm gonna have my paper landscape. If you prefer to have it what's called portrait, which is up and down, that's completely up to you. This shouldn't be too messy first grade, but if you have another sheet of paper that you would like to put underneath, or some newspaper, or maybe at your house you have an old tablecloth or something that you use just for when you do art, why don't you go ahead and make sure that that's down too. We don't want to wreck tables today. All right, so I have my paintbrush wet, and I'm gonna actually start with purple today. And if you need more paint, remember first grade that you can just dab it in the water and then put it back into the purple again. Don't clean your brush off, because then you just brushed off the paint. So I'm gonna start over here with a circle. And mine, I'm gonna decide that I'm just gonna make circles. I'm gonna make some big circles. I'm gonna make some little circles. I'm gonna make some purple circles. Remember that once you color it in, you really don't want to go back to it, because if you put too much watercolor on, it's actually just going to make a really big mess, and it's going to make a hole in your paper, and we don't want that. You could do what Vashti did, make all the same kind of dots. You could make it like she did and have different colored dots, right? It's all gonna be up to you. It's all what you want to do and how you interpret it. That's the cool thing. And the other cool thing, first grade, is that when you're done, you're gonna send this back to me. And when Mrs. Dorsey takes it out of your folder, we're gonna actually frame them. We're gonna frame these, and we are gonna put them in the hallway so that all the teachers can see it and any visitors that do come into our building. Sometimes, occasionally, we have to have people come up and grab things so they would be able to see it. Miss Traska, Miss Thomas, when they're up here, Pastor Durr, Mr. Marquardt, Mrs. Wachowski, they would all get to see your art. They're the main people I'm talking about when I talk about visitors. Usually they're on the first floor, but sometimes they have to come up. So I can just keep on working, and you see, it's gonna look a little dull at first because you have water on your paint, right? So you have to give it a little bit of time, because as it dries, it'll dry brighter. My daughter Vanessa noticed that the other day too, when she was doing some watercolor. She said, Mom, that doesn't look very bright. But once it dried, it was a lot better. So you're just gonna go ahead and you're gonna make as many dots as you want. I could decide I don't want many yellow, and maybe I don't like yellow as much. That's okay. You don't have to have the same amount of dots of every color. And you can have one dot going onto another dot. So maybe I have my orange here. I'm gonna get my orange some water here. You know, so I'm not taking the time to wash out my brush when I'm doing that. Just want to add more water. And my orange one is gonna go right into my blue one. And that's okay. They're gonna be friends on the paper. And maybe my orange dot, that's gonna go with the yellow dot. And maybe here too. Oh, my dots are connecting, is that okay? Absolutely, it's okay. All right, and then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna finish up with whatever colors you want. We want this to probably be bright, but if you like to use black or brown in your work, that's up to you. But the goal is for this to be kind of bright, but also for you to realize that you can do anything. You can make your dots however you want. If you want to make them like Vashti did, you go right ahead. If you want to do your own thing and make a little bit bigger one here, that's okay too. Guess what? That one doesn't have quite as much paint. Is that okay? Yep, totally okay. And sometimes we need to sit back and look at our artwork too, right? So if you're going through and you're like, oh, I just don't know if it needs anything else, then you just go ahead and take a step back and look at it and say, oh, what do you think? Do we think it needs something else? Does it not? If it needs something else, what color does it need? And then you go ahead and you make that happen. Okay. And then when you're all done, you'll need to make sure that it dries before you put it in your folder. So make sure you give it a little bit of time to sit out. And then also the last thing that you need to do first grade, a lot of you did not bring your Sharpie markers back, which is making me a little nervous because those are my Sharpie markers that I bought so that you guys could do your work. So if you still have your Sharpie marker at home, go ahead and grab it to use it for this project, but then please go ahead and put it back into the envelope so that I can reuse them again. What you're gonna do at the bottom, make sure that it's at the bottom. I don't want it in the middle of your page, but at the bottom, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna sign your name because we want to take pride in our work. So you can see I signed my name at the bottom. I'm convinced that this is exactly how I want it. Okay, so my project is done. So now that my project is done, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna let it dry. And then when I get all of yours, we'll put a frame around them. We're gonna hang them up so that we can see our work. And I will send you a picture, you guys, of all of our artwork together. So this is your art for today. I hope you enjoyed the book. I hope you enjoyed your little bit of art. Please make sure you use watercolor. We're not looking to use marker or any other tool with this. Okay, so make sure that you use your watercolors for this project. Make sure that you sign it at the bottom. Let it dry. Remember, it doesn't take that long for it to dry, but let it dry before you put it in your folder. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember, church this weekend at Garden Homes is at 7:45 and 10 o'clock. We are all God's masterpieces. I would love to see you there. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you soon.